Welcome everyone to another Telarus executive interview. I'm your host, Adam Edwards, and today my guest is Senior Vice President of U.S. Sales and Global Programs, Mr. Greg Wheeler, CBTS. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, Adam, thanks for having us. Looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, as am I. CBTS came on the scene, I'd say, late in the game. We worked once with Cincy Bell years ago as an ILEC in the area. A lot of telecom, a lot of circuits. That's our heritage. But will you help the audience understand the difference between CBTS, even though that, in that initialism are the letters for Cincinnati Bell, CBTS versus Cincinnati Bell. What's the ownership arrangement there?
Yeah, sure. So, I've been with the company 20 years now. About half of that was spent in the ILEC business, the Cincinnati Bell business, which is now Alta Fiber rebranded. So we're a 150-year-old ILEC here in the Cincinnati metro area. We're taken private about, last September. So it's been less than a year. CBTS was really founded out of a need from those same business customers in the Cincinnati metro area who needed IT services support, whether it was hardware resale, on-demand staffing. So that business sort of grew out of the same group of customers here locally on the business side. And then we've been able to grow it over the last 20 or so years, starting from zero to about a little over $1 billion of annual sales in IT services. So to your point, I was very familiar and worked a lot with the channel on the ILEC side in the old days of selling circuits and wide area networks. And we brought that learning and understanding of the channel to CBTS when I moved over because we felt like it was a great opportunity for us to expand, really our geographical presence and expand our relationships with new customers.
Got it. So separate companies, separate focus. CBTS, I think, really earnestly came into this channel with force. What was it, about 4 years ago, 5 years ago?
Yeah, we were selling. So to answer your first question, yes, same parent company under what is now CBI, but two very separate divisions. And we're looking at investors behind us that are really fueling both businesses independently. And yeah, to your point, we've been selling in the UCaaS space on the CBTS side since around 2011, 2012, and then launched a series of cloud networking products that we felt really fit well into the channel model. So about 4.5 years ago, we sort of rewrote our channel program and started reaching out to companies like yours to form partnerships because, again, we thought it was really, really important to expand our geographical reach.
That's fantastic to hear you've had a good experience thus far. So I remember that moment. We went from years and years ago just selling circuits, and then came these additional services we could sell, whether it was hosted voice or contact center, network management type products. CBTS came on the scene and really blew people away in terms of the Cisco approach of, man, if you're going to sell Cisco, there's someone you got to talk to, that's CBTS. It seems to me that even in that time, we saw the evolution of the product being sold. Even from the time you guys launched the channel, I think they've continued this evolution. Where would you say that the anatomy of a deal, what a deal is looking like today, or a good opportunity for you is looking like today versus that 5+ years ago?
Yeah, it's a great question. 5 years ago, we were known almost exclusively as the CLEC/ILEC, the Cincinnati Bell sort of CBTS business that if you're selling circuits or MPLS networks and maybe wanted to launch into, the hosted voice platforms, CBTS was a good fit. So we were going in and we were, taking advantage of customers who either didn't have the resources to manage the platform, the voice platform, the premise base, or we're in a refresh cycle. And, that's a key buying decision. That was 5 years ago. Today, it's a pull through, meaning we're actually leading with cloud networking solutions that are helping customers manage the edge. And we're pulling through UCaaS, but more so than that. And by the way, we're seeing significant attach rates for our cloud networking services to our UCaaS product. So we're no longer leading in that area because we think our customers have bigger issues on their mind. What we've seen in the last 2 years, particularly through COVID, is really this focus on applications that are driving customers and where they're ultimately going to live. So we're seeing customers who maybe 3 years ago were kind of in this cloud first mantra. We all heard it in the channel dealing with customers. I've got to get to the cloud. I've got to move my applications over. And we saw customers move to this lift and shift model, only to find out that costs were driving up significantly. Operating margins subsequently were coming down. So we've seen this shift into less edge focus and more about application and where those applications are going to live. And we feel like what we've seen is if you understand where our customers want to go with their applications and what they need to do to get them cloud ready, or in some cases buying cloud native solutions. If you understand how that is working and the decisions being made there, whatever business you're in, we have partners who are really good on the hosted voice side or in the cloud networking side, or we still have wide area networks being sold, or whatever business you're in. We feel like all of that is an outcome of those decisions around application transformation and where they're going to move. Is it going to be a public cloud, a private cloud? And even if you're not in that space, the consulting space or AWS or Azure or GCP, we feel like there's so much pull through, because now if you're focusing on the edge, those edge users have to find a pathway to wherever those applications live that run that company. And it's driving this massive tidal wave of change happening really across the entire enterprise. But we think it begins and ends with that conversation, and plugging yourself in there, we think is critical to future success.
So give an example of that. You said, applications are really leading the conversation, or if you're not having the application conversation, you're going to miss out. Give us an example of, what does it look like when you're having an application conversation and how that translates to some of the other product sets?
Yeah, great question. So I was just with a customer in Indianapolis this week, and the conversation was they've done some of the easy stuff. They've taken their Microsoft 365 to the cloud. They're on a hosted voice platform. Those are applications, and those are sort of the easy ones. And a lot of enterprises have done that. But this company was talking about one of their key software or applications that they use to run their business that they have historically bought off the shelf, customized, and housed in their own data center. Well, they can no longer buy that off the shelf and customize it, and they can't find the resources to keep up with it. So that's another trigger. Is this for anyone out there working, resource retention is extremely difficult these days. So these enterprises are having a difficult time keeping and retaining the talent required to keep these applications up. So the conversation we were having was, okay, let us consult with you on the best place for this application to live. It still may be in a private cloud, but if you want to move this application, how can it be built and retrofitted most efficiently to run there? Or if you're moving to the public cloud, let's provide the plumbing and the pathway for you to get to Azure or AWS. And what are the things you need to do to your application to make sure that it doesn't run up the price tag while those workloads are running in the cloud? What we've found with customers is they're ready to have that conversation. They need help with that conversation, but they're not really sure of how fast they can move to the cloud, because they've all gotten a little bit cautious about that quick movement, because a lot of customers went too quick and ran up a big tab and now are stuck getting those workloads back out of the cloud. What we've seen happen is as they're making that decision, we're able to have consulting opportunities with those customers, which is driving revenue. Partners are able to then say, okay, listen, if you're not going to be able to move these applications to the cloud right away, what are you going to do with your infrastructure and your legacy infrastructure? Does it need to be refreshed? It's driving opportunities for hardware resale and professional services engagements.
You guys do quite a bit in that cloud transformation. When people are making that switch, some of the things, the consulting engagement you'll run, the implementation, all the pro serve, there are a lot of things you do. What is the preferred product or service that you like to sell, that you like to see the channel sell?
You're right. We have a broad product portfolio. And I think one of the things we struggle with, like everyone, is resource availability. So we're very cautious as we engage with customers on what we take on because of lack of depth in certain areas. Where the channel, in my opinion, where they play the absolute most essential role is they own that customer relationship. One thing that I try to tell peers of mine, particularly on the VAR side of our business who haven't figured out the value of the channel is, if you think you're going to be able to hire enough direct sellers, or if you think your direct sellers have enough relationships to fuel your growth that you would like to see, you're fooling yourself. You're going to have to tap into the people that really truly own those relationships. You may have people call on these accounts, but they're then, we often find they're often calling, someone in the channel who's their consultant or their trusted advisor for their opinion. So if you're not tapping into those resources, into the channel, and not only tapping into it, but proving that you can deliver, because one thing that we've learned about the channel is you kind of get one crack at it. We've got a direct sales force, and if we screw up an implementation, we're paying, they're a W-2 employee. And it's not that we want to do that to our customers, but direct sales dynamics are different. In the indirect channel, you get one crack at it, and you better live up to your word, or they're gonna take that customer to a different provider who they have confidence in delivering it. So, back to your question, we've had a lot of success in being able to deliver to a high degree around this cloud networking, SD-WAN, network as a service, sort of the evolution of where the channel has been coming from the old telco world, designing networks, managing networks, into where we are today with these consumption products. So we think that that's a big value add. But we're starting to see security become a part of every decision, and we've got a security practice that we continue to ramp up. We think that that's an opportunity to arm the channel with more capabilities. Obviously, hosted voice as a drag through is become very crowded. There's lots of choices, and a lot of people do it really well. But I think the cloud networking, owning the edge, is going to be such a massive opportunity. And the security around all of that, I think, is where we see ourselves engaging heavily with the channel.
So tell me, thus far, how has this channel worked out for you in the last 4.5 years? What have you seen, and what do you see for the future? Clearly you get the philosophy. The philosophy of, hey, do it right. That first deal, you're selling the relationship, not just a single customer. You're selling the partner relationship. So you get the philosophy. I'd love to hear about the track record and what you see in the future.
Yeah, the track record has been, it was funny. I had two separate conversations within our business. One to our president, who kind of came up in the VAR world. Ironically, CBTS as a partner, right, serves that same purpose for many of the OEMs, right? But it was funny how hard it took to get some of my counterparts to understand what we were trying to do with our channel relationship. So I had that conversation, and then I had a conversation with our channel chief, Rob Messmer, and I said, enjoy the time out of the spotlight now. Build this right, build the right partnerships. Let's deliver first, grow second. So we've stuck to that. And what we've seen is where the channel was 0% of CBTS's net new acquisition on a monthly basis, we're now at about 35% and growing. And we hope to I'd love to see that. One, I'd love to see the pie grow in total, but we think that in the next 2 to 3 years, the channel will be more than half of our net new acquisition sales. And then really our goal is the same we have on the direct side. We want to bring a customer relationship in, and then we want to land and expand that relationship. And we want to bring the partner along with us for the ride, because that's the other thing that's absolutely critical, is that relationship that is there because the partner brought it to us, not because we went out and got it. So we want to remain very respectful of that relationship and build upon it, and really fuel that partner relationship with our customer by allowing them and providing more and more options that they can then bring to that customer, but bringing them along for the ride as we continue to expand that relationship. So, we couldn't be more thrilled. We want to, our investment dollars are going less in our direct channel and more in our indirect channel, because we feel like that is the place where we can continue to grow at the rates we've grown, and we're very excited about the future.
Thank you very much. That phenomenal story. The success you've had in such a short period of time with the channel, I think is one of the fastest growth stories that we've seen. Also, your partner forward thinking and the way the channel has impacted the organization. It's clear you said it. I think the great advice that a lot could use that counsel, which is enjoy your time, out of the spotlight and build that solid foundation, which clearly you have and it's showing. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for joining everyone. My guest, Greg Wheeler, SVP, U.S. Sales and Global Programs, CBTS. Take care.